Hello everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name is Rachel Webb and today let's talk about which is better, AB part epoxy resin or UV resin. If you're new here to the channel, first of all, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Definitely be sure to subscribe and like this video if you enjoy tutorials like this. Subscribing is a great free way to support us in what we do here at Oak and Lamb. If you go onto our homepage on the YouTube channel and you type in resin in our search bar, so many videos come up. We have a ton of videos demonstrating the different types of resin, how to use them, how they compare with each other, and so on and so forth. We have so many videos on UV resin specifically. Definitely go check out the channel, type in resin for all of your UV resin and epoxy resin needs. We have so many project ideas and such over there. But today we're going to answer the question, which is better? Which should you purchase? Which should you have in your craft room? So this is going to be a pretty short little video talking about which resin is better, because like I said, we have a lot of videos. If you're looking for the differences between the resins, I will post a video up here. Throughout this video, you'll see little bars with next videos that you can click. They will all be about AB part resin or epoxy resin. AB part resin or UV resin. We have a lot of videos about them. So, which is best? Which should you have? Well, it depends on three things. Number one, how much of the product do you need? So how large is your project going to be? Are you filling in a lollipop size silicone mold, or are you trying to seal a tabletop? The second question you have to ask is, how much money do you have? How much do you have to spend in your crafty budget for this project? Do you have the budget to spend on UV resin for the entirety of it? Or is it so large that you need to opt for AB part resin? The third and final question you need to ask is, what kind of time do you have on your hands to allow your project to dry? Dry time differs significantly with these two products, and I could definitely ask you more questions in regards to which of these is better. However, for this general video about which is better in, like long-term over thousands of different projects, those are the three questions that you have to ask yourself in order to get the answer. So you might be saying, okay, well, what happens if I answer one of the questions differently? Well, let's break that down. So, how big is your project? If your project is the size of a tabletop, we would always recommend going with AB part resin for a couple of reasons. AB part resin, while it does take a lot longer to dry, it is a bit more forgiving than UV resin, because until time has cured it, you can pop bubbles on it, you can take some off, whereas as soon as the UV light or the sunlight hits UV resin, you've already got it's already cured, depending on how thick, obviously, but in general, as soon as UV light hits it, it's going to be cured. So if you've got lumps, bumps, bubbles, etc. in there, you don't have a lot of time to work with that if you are taking it outside to cure or whatever. Whereas, like I said, the two-part resin, you can kind of mix it up, pour it over your surface, and kind of baby it for a couple hours. You can go on there with a little spritz bottle of rubbing alcohol or with a lighter and pop those bubbles as you see them over time for such a large project. Now, you can absolutely use these for smaller projects too. Be aware that they do dry completely separately. They dry in a completely different way. One requires time, the other requires UV light or sunlight, same thing. Okay, so how big is your project? If it's teeny tiny, use UV resin. We love UV resin. If you have it on hand, it's already pre-mixed. You just squeeze it, throw it in the sunlight, or pop a UV light on it for 30 seconds and you're good to go. It's great. Now, of course, the dry time with the sunlight or the UV light will heavily depend on how thick your coating is and what brand you use. Our favorite brand of UV resin is J. Diction. And our favorite brand of AB part resin is this amazing clear cast. This is just a couple bottles we actually got from the Dollar Tree that we tested out, but I wanted to have a couple options for you guys on the table. So, what's your project size? That will help you. Usually, rule of thumb is the smaller the project, the more likely that you are to use UV resin. other than AB part resin that you have to mix together and all that good stuff. So the bigger the project, the more you probably want to use this. Now, why is that though? It's not just for that cure time. As far as asking yourself the next question, how much money do you have to spend? It's a very important question because UV part resin is way more expensive than AB part resin. This is pre-mixed. It's a great product. It's relatively new. Hopefully the price will be going down, you know, supply and demand soon-ish, but it's kind of expensive for how much that you get. So we absolutely love UV resin. We would use it on every single project that we need resin for, but sometimes it's just not ethical with the price. Like the example I keep giving is you're wanting to seal a tabletop. It's really a smarter idea to go with an AB part resin that you mix together because that'll just be way cheaper for you in the long run. Now that doesn't mean you can't use one for the other or vice versa. You absolutely can use whatever you want to seal this, but if money is a factor, you need to take that into account as well. So how much money do you have? If money is no object and you can spend whatever, get UV resin, that would be great. Get it all on there, pop all the bubbles you see, take it outside in that sunlight and let it cure and you're good to go. Now, how much time do you have to allow the project to dry is the third and final question you need to ask yourself when answering the question, which of these is better? So do you have days and days and days? Are you not on any type of a time crunch for this project? Can you allow kind of time to take its course and allow the AB part resin that you've pre-mixed to dry? Yeah, if you have that amount of time, this is great to use. Like I said, it does dry over time. So usually it's like 24 hours to like fully cure. Okay, working time 30 to 40 minutes. So that means 30 to 40 minutes you have to use it while it's still like 100% a liquidy medium. After 8 hours, it's tack free, meaning you can touch it and it won't like pull up on you. It won't be sticky. 24 hours is for total cure. Now that's based on 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, if it's way colder or way hotter or way more humid or whatever, it's going to take a different time to cure it. But for like full cure, use it type of thing, they recommend 28 days. 28 days. Now you can use it before that, but before you like heavily use it, we recommend the full cure time. Now, if you have that amount of time, use the AB part resin that you have to mix together because that will save you some money. If you don't have that amount of time, you need to get this thing done like now, today, go with UV part resin, or excuse me, UV resin, because it's going to dry as soon as you hit it with that UV light or when you take it outside. Depending on the thickness, it might take a few minutes. Another concern if you're doing a large project with AB part resin is where it dries. You cannot allow any bugs to get on it, any dust to get on it, any cats or dogs to get on it. You want to make sure it is in a really great spot to where no dust or anything is going to touch that resin while it's curing, at least for the first 8 hours until it's tack free. So you want to make sure that the project you're using can also be able to be cured in this place that will not get it dirty at all if you're going the route of the AB resin that you have to mix up. Again, UV resin, squirt it, cure it, you're done type of thing. I think that it's so expensive because it's just so darn convenient and great. Of course, overall, if you're asking us, we love UV resin the most. That's what we use out of everything. We try not to use AB part resin if we can because we're all just so impatient. But of course, there's those projects that you just can't get around it. Now, another like bonus question, but it's not really like a have to because you could be using this resin for so many different ways. But if you happen to be using your resin in a silicone mold, if you do not have a clear silicone mold, if it is colored or opaque in any way, shape, or form, you have to use AB part resin that you mix together. Only clear silicone molds can be used with UV resin. Now, why is that? Because UV resin like we've talked about, is cured with UV light. And if the light can't penetrate all sides and directions to go through that clear resin and cure it, it's not going to be fully cured. It's going to be a goopy mess underneath the first little layer, depending on how thick your resin is. If you set it outside or set it underneath a lamp, a UV lamp, and there is it's a colored mold, so you can't do that. It has to be a clear mold. If you don't have any clear molds for the project you want to use, you have to use AB part resin, because it doesn't matter if light can hit all of the angles of that mold, because this cures through time. It just hardens over time. It does not harden via UV light. So, which is best? Ask yourself those 3 questions. Allow yourself to kind of mull it over in your mind. Both of these are not cheap, so you want to really make sure you're choosing the best one for the project that you have at home. But overall, what we cannot live without, which, if we, gun to our head, we had to pick one, we would definitely choose UV resin. We absolutely love it and adore it, but we do always have AB part resin on hand too, just in case for those projects that you do need it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. The absolute #1 way to support what we do is to grab a membership at Oak and Lamb. We have over 1,000 digital cut files that you can use with your Cricut machine, with your sewing machine, with your sublimation printer, with your laser cutter. We have so many great options that you can use with those digital cut files, along with some really great free courses to teach you how to master your Cricut. We have some really great member-only videos and trainings for you guys, as well as an exclusive member-only Facebook group that you guys can go ask your questions, post your projects, and get inspired all the time. There is a special coupon code in the description below, so definitely check it out. Use that coupon code and join our membership today. You will not regret it. Thank you guys so much for watching. The great resins that we have showcased today are linked below as well. And visit our Amazon storefront link down there for all types of incredible craft supplies that we can't live without. Thank you all so much. I'll see you another day for another video.